Hi, I'm Sarah, and I'm going to introduce you to the Seattle Public Library service areas and community. Seattle Public Library is a large library system that consists of a central branch located in downtown Seattle, as well as 26 locations that serve the neighborhoods throughout the city. According to the 2020 census data, Seattle's population was roughly 737,000, which makes it the 18th most populous city in the US. This was a 21.1% increase from the 2010 census data, which only accounted for 608,000 residents. Of the roughly 737,000 residents in 2020, 630,000 were over the age of 18 and almost 107,000 were under 18. The estimated number of households in 2020 was roughly 346,000, with an household average of 2.05 people per household. In 2020, the overwhelming majority of Seattle was Caucasian at almost 66% of the total population. Those of Asian descent were the second highest population, followed by Black or African Americans. Roughly 7.6% of the population identify as having two or more races. The remaining 3% are split between Native American, Alaskan Native, and Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander. The Somali community has significantly increased over the past 30 years as a result of thousands of refugees settling in the area. However, the census data does not accurately reflect the Somali community. It is most likely that the Somali population is severely underrepresented. Many Somali refugees have avoided the census either because they can't read it or because they mistrust the government. When it comes to languages spoken in Seattle, Chinese is the most widely spoken language besides English. Spanish is the close second. Due to the Somali refugee situation, Amharic has become a significant language in the Seattle area in recent years. 1.7% of Seattle's population speaks Amharic, making it the third most spoken language other than English. Other languages spoken in Seattle are Vietnamese, Tagalog, and Japanese. Seattle is a very well-educated city. The 2020 census data shows that roughly 14% of adults have some college experience. 37% have earned their bachelor's degree as their highest level of education, and 28% have attained their graduate degree. The average income in Seattle was $63,633 per year, with the lowest income at roughly $22,500 and the highest at $110,173. There is a significant gender bias present in Seattle's average incomes. Women are overwhelmingly underpaid compared to their male counterparts, earning an average of 30% less than men. Now I'd like to talk about what programs and services SPL offers to meet the needs of this community. This is a copy of the Seattle Public Library Strategic Direction that is intended to cover from 2020 to 2022. One of the primary principles in this strategic direction is for the library to make a difference in people's lives and in the greater community. Another is to achieve measurable community impacts. It is easy to see that there is a strong focus on social justice and civic engagement, which has been an ongoing trend in libraries, especially since the surge of the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020. Another focus in the strategic plan is to deliver services that provide measurable individual outcomes, and this can be seen in their many programs that promote lifelong learning. The focus of the programs and services for young children at SPL is family or caregiver involvement in their child's learning. This includes family story times, reservable kits called Begin with Books, and an early education action guide that is available in English as well as 7 non-English languages. This early education action guide provides parents and caregivers with tools to use at home to engage with their child to promote literacy. Other programs offered are the Global Reading Challenge, which motivates children to read, and the Library Equal Access Program, which provides ADA support for children with special needs and includes a sensory story time for children on the spectrum.
One of my favorite programs here at Seattle Public Library is the Global Reading Challenge. It's really exciting to see just how energized kids get reading these books, coming to the author events, working on teams with their classmates, and it's so much fun to see hundreds of kids super excited to see some of their favorite authors from the program here at the library. They're excited to be asking questions, just meet the people who wrote these books that they have really connected to. It just really creates these meaningful experiences for kids to connect with each other around books. It's really exciting to work for an organization that brings innovative programming to children and their families. We're offering experiences that families may not get a chance to experience anywhere else. Anything from our literacy programming to digital programming, play and learn groups, opportunities for families to connect with each other, be exposed to books, movies, music, different cultural events, author events. All of those things make working at the Seattle Public Library a really exciting place to be.
Teen services at SPL show a lot of focus on promoting independence in Seattle's young adults. The Fresh Start Fine Removal Program, for instance, allows teens that may have been previously denied access to library materials or programs due to overdue fees to regain access. The online resources and digital learning opportunities available for teens allow them to locate and access information on their own, but if they require assistance, there is also virtual tutoring available for students K through 12. Teens also have the ability to volunteer at SPL in order to earn service learning hours for school. One particularly interesting program at SPL that caught my eye is called VRtality, which offers a virtual reality experience for teens, and it is meant to promote mental and emotional health.
My name is Josie Watanabe, and I'm the Youth and Family Services Manager here at the Seattle Public Library. Some of the ways that the library helps teens prepare for college is to really think about the soft leadership skills that they'll need to be successful in a job. So we offer programs like Teen Service Learning, which is a project-based program that focuses on collaborative learning, problem solving, conflict resolution, leadership skills, and communication. We also have classes that help students prepare for college. We offer SAT, ACT classes, and those are really important because many students around the city can afford to pay for expensive classes while many others can't. So offering that valuable service at the library is so important to level the playing field. We also offer FAFSA and WASFA classes. FAFSA are financial aid classes that help students apply for financial aid, and WASFA classes really focus on undocumented students to help them get financial aid for college. If you really distill the values of the youth and family learning programs, you'll find that we focus on three important things. Relationship building is one of them. We know that at the heart of learning, relationships matter. The second thing that we focus on is equity. Our goal is to really close the opportunity gap for students and families in Seattle. And we know that we can do that by offering meaningful and engaging learning experiences. The third thing that we find really important is centering community. We really want to provide a place at the library where teens, kids, and families can find things that are interesting, learn and grow, and become their true selves, whoever that may be.
There is a huge focus on lifelong learning in the programs and services available for adults at SPL. There are classes for retirement education, technology, and writing. There are services called Your Next 5 Books, in which a librarian coordinates with an adult to choose their next 5 reads, and another program called Your Next Skill, in which an adult can email a librarian with a new skill they desire to learn, and the librarian will find books and resources to help support their learning. There are varied virtual programs such as Sip and Watercolor, which is a virtual painting class, Yoga for Adults 50 and Over, 50 plus Days of Gratitude, and ESL vocabulary classes. There are quite a few civic and social services, including election resources, immigrant and refugee resources, legal resources, resources for the formerly incarcerated, social services for those in need, job resources, and services for veterans. As mentioned previously, SPL has a large focus on social justice and equity. The equity work at the library consists of reducing barriers to access for low-income children of color, as well as internet and online services equity by providing mobile devices, laptops, and hotspots to help bridge the digital divide. SPL recognizes the rapid growth of the Somali community and has made an effort to increase materials in Somali for adults as well as children. ESL classes and workshops are also available. To help represent people of color, inclusive community events are held that feature speakers from different races, backgrounds, and perspectives.
One of our big aspects of adult services is our focus on lifelong learning, which includes our digital literacy classes, things like Microsoft Office Suite certification, our digital creativity classes such as Adobe, as well as other aspects such as selling things on Etsy, or learning how to use eBay, setting up social media accounts. So we have a wide variety of digital literacy classes. Another big part of our lifelong learning is our library to business team, which helps entrepreneurs of all kinds get their businesses up and running, as well as improve their businesses. We especially focus on traditionally marginalized communities and how they can turn their community around by using entrepreneurship. We also provide an area for writers and readers to come together. We offer classes on how to become a writer, how to improve your writing, as well as classes on the publishing industry and self-publishing, and how people can connect with audiences through their writing. It provides an opportunity for community to be created around books and reading, and people coming together to tell their stories and share them with others. A big focus of adult services at Seattle Public Library includes our focus on cultural enrichment, which we provide by having programs that are community curated, that involve community and center marginalized communities, so that we're being as responsive as we can to community needs.
My name is Margie Smith, and I will discuss the importance of communications with community members, the ways in which promoting services and programs could reposition the library as education, and future opportunities to consider as the Seattle Public Library approaches the revising process for the subsequent strategic plan for 2023 and beyond. Marketing strategies and developing concise, targeted messages presented for community consideration are critical components of library communications. The author, Valerie Gross, urges library staff and leaders to reflect upon their overall messages to the community and how images and understandings of the institution are created as a result. Language can be powerful. Framing is the process of intentionally and strategically utilizing language to support organizational efforts and strengthen community participation. The primary goal emphasized by Valerie Gross is to identify a meaningful lexicon of vocabulary that will be delivered with clarity and simplicity. Although services, processes, and programs serve complex purposes, the outward messages should be plainly stated and easily understood. An example of a solid lexicon is the presentation of 3 actions: inform, instruct, and interact. When combined, these concepts equate to one universally valued priority: education. These are established foundational objectives of libraries around the world. For libraries to continue to exist, Valerie Gross asserts that there is an urgent need to remind community members and legislative bodies that education is at the heart of all library operations. Valerie Gross introduces the 3 pillars philosophy, which positions libraries as education. Therefore, librarians and library staff are educators. The 3 pillars represent the structural design of library initiatives. Pillar 1 includes the standard resources that libraries are well known for. Pillar 2 refers to instructive workshops and classes offered by libraries. Facilitation of enlightening experiences is central to Pillar 3. With the concepts of clear communication and the library as education in mind, the time has come for the Seattle Public Library leadership team to begin strategizing. I encourage you to continue to re-envision the future and stay connected to your community. By reflecting upon what has occurred over the last 3 years, internally, externally, and globally, the library can gain perspective about the upcoming years ahead. Have your values and intentions been made clear to the community you serve? Are messages still relevant and applicable to address the current issues that community members are facing? Is there a need to rebuild, improve, and transform the library image and narratives? Library leaders and those responsible for marketing could make the most of this transition period by collaborating to unify and inspire the team of staff members. Everyone should feel encouraged to contribute new ideas for innovative services, programs, and events. Library leaders demonstrate their capabilities with action, participation, and during every interpersonal interaction. Community partnerships depend on creating a strong sense of inclusion and consistent engagement with diverse groups so as to better understand how the library can directly support specific needs. As a member of the Urban Libraries Council, the Seattle Public Library has the advantage of insights and information shared by over 160 library systems located throughout the United States and Canada. All 160 plus participating library systems have created a network of support to strengthen professional practice, which ultimately benefits local communities. ULC member libraries are dedicated to preserving these public spaces as community centers for education and lifelong learning. ULC libraries work to bridge the digital divide by ensuring equitable access to 21st century tools and resources. Education is the foundation for strong, economically vital communities. Librarians guide and support every person as they seek information and sources of knowledge. Digital equity is a trend worth recognizing. For many people within our diverse communities, libraries represent a critical anchor and dependable gateway for connectivity in this modern world. ULC libraries strategically collaborate with local governments, businesses, and organizations to create healthy communities. These partnerships sustain efforts and strengthen social justice movements. A few weeks ago, the Seattle Public Library leadership team attended the 2022 ULC Annual Forum in Washington, D.C. Leaders from over 75 major urban library systems also answered the call to action and convened for the purpose of preserving democracy and access to a broad range of information resources. The Declaration of Democracy was released during the closing session of the annual forum. As a collaborative unit, members of the ULC are proud to launch and commit to this vital initiative. They believe that library leaders serve as civic educators and play an essential role in taking on censorship and ensuring free access to information for all. The public library has a responsibility to cultivate a democracy grounded in respectful yet robust public engagement. As the Seattle Public Library approaches this opportunity to revise the strategic plan going into 2023 and beyond, our team advises everyone involved to identify forward-thinking concepts that best represent your organization, to implement initiatives that will best serve your local communities, and continue moving towards a bright and exciting future. Thank you.
My name is Yarrow, and I will be taking over for the conclusion of the presentation, where I will focus on what the Seattle Public Library has accomplished and what it should be working on in the future. The Seattle Public Library has accomplished a forward-thinking approach to the library's role in society, and it has done this through its extensive programs, events, and services, which posit the library as an active community center, its online, in-person, and mobile services that really bring the library work out into the community, and its super connectivity. Amy Garmer writes that one of the key factors in transforming public libraries will be new narratives about the role of the library. And the SPL has shifted away from the traditional role of libraries, which would see a library as a primary information resource, to being an active civic center. They offer so many programs and events which focus on numerous topics from art, culture, English learning, citizenship, job skills, LGBTQ, race and social justice, and this makes them a really multifaceted source for entertainment and learning and engagement or social justice work. They offer outdoor recreation guides and discover passes for checkout, which is a really cool example that I think a lot of people wouldn't imagine a traditional library offering. They also have books on bikes and their mobile library services, which allows the SPL to meet the community where they are and ensure everyone has access to library resources. Another of Garmer's goals for modern libraries is super connectivity, which sees the library offering modern technology and the staff as community activators, as well as the library being a collaborative space. And the SPL offers computers, free internet access, Wi-Fi hotspots. They have Canopy, which is a free digital streaming service, and they use the Overdrive app, which customers can use to access ebooks and audiobooks from their phones. I also really love that they have library podcasts where they record presentations and events happening at the library, and then they put them on their website in the form of a podcast so that anybody can go and listen to them, and they have like a 10-year archive for this. So I think that's a really great way that they've achieved super connectivity in their library. Number 2, they have achieved the library as people and as place. This is another of Garmer's visions of the modern library, where the library shifts away from, quote, building collections to building human capital, relationships, and knowledge networks in the community. And they have done this, again, through their many events and programs that bring the Seattle community together to learn from and with each other. They host local speaking events, collaborate with partner organizations, and they really work to create relationships in the Seattle community. Garmer also envisions the library as a place which provides an anchor, strengthens community identity, and provides a safe and trusted location. And one way the SPL strengthens community identity is through its local collections. It has a Seattle Culture and Local History collection, the Playback Music Collection, which is a free streaming service made up of music by Seattle artists, and other special collections such as Sharing Our Voices, which is an oral history from the LGBTQ+ Seattle community members. SPL also is a part of the King County Safe Place program, which is available for teens aged 12 to 17. And all of these things make SPL a really strong community place. Number 3 is a strong role in education. Garmer writes that re-envisioning the library calls for a stronger role in education, which is intentional and strategic. And she suggests libraries do this by building partnerships with schools, expanding library roles in early childhood education, having after-school and summer reading programs, and creating alternative pathways to learning. And the SPL proves their commitment to early childhood and K-12 education with their robust early childhood education program. They have weekly story times available in 6 languages, in person and online, which also are ASL and ADA accessible. SPL also partners with Seattle schools and daycares, and they offer in-person and online tutoring, Library Link, which is a collaboration between SPL and Seattle Public Schools, and they have a long-standing Summer of Learning program. Finally, the SPL hosts many online research tools and classes which support adult learning. They have LinkedIn Learning, Microsoft Imagine Academy, Mango Languages, and more. And when you go to their website, one of the first things you see is their research tools and classes, which shows that they really want to emphasize their role in education. 4, SPL has achieved a relationship with the community that supports the customer-centric trend. Garmer and many others have emphasized the importance of supporting community goals and letting customers take part in the direction and vision of their libraries, and one way the SPL centralizes their customers is with the Peak Picks collection, which is SPL's collection of new and popular books, which are available in the library without holds. They also have community conversations, which is a really important activity hosted by the SPL. They hold frequent community conversations where the chief librarian/executive director invites community members to come and discuss areas for innovation and improvement in the library. Garmer writes that innovation often comes from the edges of the institution or from diverse perspectives, which often are already on the edge of the institution. So, by inviting community members to pose ideas for new directions for the library, SPL can get fresh perspectives, which may inspire innovation and allow the community to envision how they want their library to improve. Number 5, SPL has achieved advanced racial equity in the library. Amy Summy writes of the importance of advancing racial equity through building understanding and awareness about racism and implicit and explicit biases, and then organized and intentional strategies for eliminating racism in libraries while boosting diversity. Seattle's RSJI, Race and Social Justice Initiative, led the charge in tackling racism in the city and the city's institutions, and the SPL does participate in the RSJI. The SPL has also established a change team which instructs on and reduces racial biases, hires diverse employees, supports multicultural programs and multilingual services, and advertises library services to diverse communities. There is always room to grow in this area, and as we have seen, Seattle is not an extremely diverse city, but the SPL has succeeded in creating organized strategies for advancing equity in their organization. Number 6 is transformative leadership. One of the most important factors that aids in the transformation of libraries is having transformative leadership. And Garmer writes that leaders should take advantage of digital tools, build capacity, give thought and attention to succession planning, develop plans and strategies, and more. And Marcellus Turner, who's pictured here, was the executive director and the chief librarian of the SPL from 2011 to 2021. And under his leadership, the SPL adopted the Wi-Fi hotspot lending program, the playback music collection, and the elimination of overdue fines, which allowed customers in need to return to the library. And Turner was also actively engaged with his community. He would attend events and have discussions with customers without revealing his identity as the director, and he supported innovative initiatives such as bringing library services to homeless encampments. His leadership was very inspirational to the library and community, and in 2021, Tom Fay was appointed as the new executive director. Thus far, he's continued Turner's vision, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he will do with the library in the next decade. So that brings us to how can the SPL improve to meet modern demands and ensure longevity? Number 1 is embracing the maker movement or the library as a platform. So Garmer argues that 21st century libraries should be striving to become places that encourage community creation and innovation, where the community can create services, data, and tools that benefit the community. And the SPL does not yet have makerspaces. Looking at other successful library maker programs, such as the Chicago Public Library's makerspaces, here are a few ideas for SPL makerspaces. One would be a sound studio for recording podcasts or music. Seattle has a vibrant music scene. They could lean into this by offering programs on how to learn how to record music, access sound editing programs such as Audacity or Ableton, and they already make library podcasts. They could extend a class on creating your own podcasts. Another idea is a robotics lab, which is attractive to youth and can teach skills such as design, digital literacy, supports collaboration as well, or 3D printing, which is another popular new technology that has been acquired by some other public libraries and has proven to be engaging with customers of all ages. Makerspaces support superconductivity. They provide access to tools which people may not have at home. They support collaboration, community connection, and individual learning. Number 2 is implementing new forms of technology and increasing access to that technology. Technology is probably the number 1 most important tool for success in the 21st century, and libraries should be looking to the future and adapting new technologies they see growing in popularity. Seattle is home of many leading tech companies and many tech workers, and they could do a better job of reflecting that aspect of the city. One idea is video game technology or video games for loan, which could increase teen engagement with the library. Virtual reality technology, which could be applied for new learning environments, and more tech-focused events. They're past AI events and other emerging technologies have sold out, so there is a clear community interest here which should be fulfilled. Finally, laptops and tablets for loan outside of the library could increase superconnectivity and bridge the wealth gap by offering laptops and tablets for checkout. Finally, number 3 is taking action in addressing homelessness and the opioid crisis. Seattle, unfortunately, has an extensive homeless population, as well as a crisis with opioid addiction and a current concern with overdoses due to fentanyl lacing. In March of 2022, the idea of using a public library building as a homeless shelter was discussed, and this idea should continue to be a topic of conversation for high-risk events. And in 2016, a 2-year grant funded by the Seattle Public Library instated a social service worker whose role was to aid houseless people at the Seattle Central Library. And while the library does still offer social services to the homeless, it's unclear if a social service specialist still operates in the library. And if this is no longer a funded position, this should be continued. Finally, drug testing kits. They're greatly needed to keep the Seattle community safe. There is a current crisis of fentanyl lacing, which has led to many unnecessary deaths, and I think the SPL could lead in harm reduction by adopting a drug testing kit program, naloxone training, drug safety classes, and partnerships with harm reduction organizations. All right, so that is our conclusion. The SPL is a super successful public library system. It's taken so many important steps towards transformation in the 21st century. And there's always room for improvement, and it will be exciting to see how the SPL develops over the next decade. Thank you for joining us to learn about the SPL today.